I decided to put my email at the beginning of the video as well. It's also at the end, but as the title states, I am dedicating this video to the best flight crew on the planet, the entire crew that worked the Cathay Pacific flight CX807 from Chicago to Hong Kong on November 7th, 2018, and I really hope to hear from you guys soon. I'm back from my trip, and I wanted to get this video out a long time ago, but like 3 or 4 days before I flew home, I started getting sick. And once I got home, I got worse. So I'm finally at the point where I'm mostly better. Not 100% yet, but I feel good enough to talk in front of a camera. So I've got an entire flight crew to thank for my first flight, and I've got a story to tell. So grab some popcorn. Hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm legally blind. But I'm not going to let that stop me. First, let me say that the entire crew from that first flight was amazing. And I know at least some of them are watching right now, so I just want to say you guys are awesome. The first flight was from Chicago to Hong Kong, and it was the longest flight I've ever been on in my entire life. No joke. So like from takeoff to touchdown, it was about 15 hours and 20 minutes. Oh my gosh, super long. So here I am in my seat, and it was about 2 hours into the flight, and I'm getting cramped. I need to stand up. So I go to the bathroom, and I not ready to go back to my seat yet. So I'm standing there by the bathroom. There's another gentleman already standing there, this Asian guy. So I just decided to strike up a conversation with him. And super nice guy. We're having a great conversation. And all of a sudden, there's another guy that comes past us, and he says something. He's got to go to the bathroom. So we're like, yeah, it's open. Go ahead. We're just stretching our legs. So he goes into the bathroom. I continue the conversation with this nice guy. Then the other guy comes out of the bathroom and very rudely starts to butt into the conversation with lots of cuss words and instantly just talking bad about women and about how they're just toys and things like that. I'm not going to go into detail on everything that he said, but very, very rude and very, very disrespectful to women. And I, for one, hate that. I don't like that. You know, I've got sisters, I've got a mom, I've got female cousins. If I ever heard somebody talking about them the way that this guy was talking about women, I would literally want to just beat the crap out of them. So, the first opportunity that I got to get a word in, I started to ask where he's from to try to divert the conversation towards something else. But it was really hard to do. This guy had clearly been drinking. He reeked of alcohol. And it didn't take very long for the nice guy to leave and go back to his seat, and I'm pretty sure I know why, because this other guy was being loud and rude and obnoxious and just swearing and just vulgar guy, talking bad about women again, like I said. So I try to divert his attention towards something else, asking him where he's from. We start getting into hobbies, things that we like to do. We even talked a little bit about politics, but even when we were talking about normal things like that, he was still swearing and being very loud and very obnoxious. And I'm sure that a lot of the plane heard that. And I know the crew heard that because they would, come by sometimes and they would be like, hey, shh, keep it down and things like that. So I get to the point where I just kind of can't take it anymore. So I'd say, hey, we've been up for a while talking. My feet are getting kind of tired standing up, so I'm gonna go back and sit down. And he's like, oh yeah, I will too. But if if you get back up, I think you're just a few rows, behind me or something like that. Let me know when you go up, and we'll have another conversation. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. So I go back to my seat. I decide to watch a movie. After the movie, I need to stretch again. So I get back up. He's already up there, and he's in my opinion, it looked like he was bothering part of the crew, especially the female members. At this point, he was talking to the in-flight service manager, whose name is Cheryl, who was really nice. And he had made some comments about her earlier that I didn't like, and I wasn't really going to let him get away with it. When he was talking to her, I knew what he was up to. I could tell. I could hear him, and he even brought me into the picture. And I was just like, okay, let's go back over here and let's talk. And so we actually did. We went back to where we were standing before and stretching, and we talked some more. And he told me that that flight crew member Cheryl started getting an attitude with him. And I was like, gee, I wonder why. I was like, no, I don't think she'd be getting an attitude. She seems really nice. Oh, no, no, she was getting an attitude with me. And he kind of starts going off a little bit. And I'm like, okay, let's back to the something else. Let's talk about cryptocurrency. Let's talk about politics. We talked about a lot of things, but his mind always came back to being rude towards women. The crew, obviously, as they usually are on all flights, were super busy. I mean, running up and down the aisles, taking care of the passengers' needs. And then he saw Cheryl go past us again and go to like the little crew area. So he started to go over there again and talk to her and with his normal self. And I got sick of it. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to let them have to put up with that. So I actually went over there. I put my arm around him and I looked at Cheryl and I said, "Is this guy bothering you?" And I was dead serious. I wasn't going to let him do it. I was about to yank him away. But I was like, "Yeah, is this guy bothering you?" And we went back over and we talked some more. And at this point, he already is developing a grudge towards Cheryl because obviously she was rejecting him. And we go back, we sit down again, and this is a super long flight, so I can't sit down for too long. I'm sitting down for like a couple of hours at a time, and then I've got to get up and stretch again. So I get up again, and finally I'm up by the bathroom stretching, and he's not there. Well, Cheryl sees me, and she comes over to me, and she says, "Excuse me, but that man that you were talking to earlier, was he bothering you?" And I said, we were having an okay conversation. Obviously, the swearing constantly I didn't like. Him being just really loud and obnoxious and rude I didn't like. I said, but the thing that I really didn't like and that I wasn't going to stand for was him just standing there talking about women so rudely and just degrading them. And I said I wasn't going to let him do that. And I knew that he was, trying to make advances towards the female members of the crew. And I said I wasn't going to let him do that either. And she looks at me and she says, "You are the best passenger we've ever had." And I'm like, "Oh, no, no, no." I was like, you guys are the best crew. Really, you're the best crew. And she's like, "No, no, no. You're really the best passenger we've ever had." And she says, "Hold on a second." She goes back to the little crew area. She comes back with a handful of chocolates. And she says, "Here, have these. These are for business class only. Like regular passengers, they don't get these." And I'm like, "Wow, thanks." And we start talking a little bit and you know had a good conversation about hobbies and this and that. And she knew about my eyes. She actually is the one that told me about the pre-boarding and stuff like that. So she introduced herself to me early on, and she went left again. She comes back with more chocolates, and I'm like, "Wow, you really don't have to do this." She goes, "No, no, no, you're such a good passenger." And I was like, "Well, what can I do?" So I was thinking, I was like, "Well, can I at least give you a hug?" And she says, "Yeah." So we give each other a hug, and it was cool, and we continued our conversation. Well, as we were talking, the guy comes up, he walks past us and goes to the bathroom again, and she says, "Huh, he's awake again." And I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of figured at some point that was going to happen." Well, when he came out of the bathroom, me and Cheryl were still standing there, and he looks at me, and he just, you can tell he's kind of just like down a little bit, and he's obviously got a grudge because he sees Cheryl there. And so I just looked at him and I pointed at Cheryl and I said, "You know what?" I said, "She is so sweet." And he goes, folds his arm, and he's like, "Nah, nah." I said, "No, no, no, really. She is so sweet." So Cheryl leaves, and so me and this guy are standing there talking again. And you can tell his demeanor has totally changed. He's just mad and like simmering, and just, you can tell that he was about to go off. And I try to talk to him more, and he's steaming mad at this point. And he starts actually talking about Cheryl in just a really bad way and starts calling her names, just really super bad names. I'm not even going to get close to saying what he was calling her, but it was very, very rude and very, very uncalled for. And he just kept saying it over and over again. And I was like, okay, dude, is this necessary? Please, you don't have to be like that. Don't be like that. She's really sweet. I kept saying that. She's really sweet. Oh, no, no, no. She's this and that and this and that. And I said, okay, just don't. And he says, no, I'm going to say it. And I don't care who hears me. And he says, in fact, I'm going to go tell the whole crew about her being such a, name. And there's other crew members that are kind of on the opposite side of the plane. They're sitting down, kind of, taking a little rest. And he actually starts walking towards them, cussing and swearing as he's doing so, still calling her the names. And so I said, no. I kind of put my arm around him. I gave him like a pat on the shoulder to try to get him to come back. Well, that didn't work. He kept going. So I literally had to grab him by the shoulders and kind of yank him back and be like, okay, look, just calm down. I'm pissed, okay? Again, I've got female members of my family. And again, if somebody was calling them what he was calling Cheryl, I would want to just, I would take him to the ground. But I did my best to stay calm, and I tried to calm him down. I said, okay, look, that's not necessary. Just stay calm. And we're standing there talking, and then after, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes, something like that, Cheryl comes over with 3 other crew members, and she says, excuse me, I hate to interrupt your conversation. I said, yeah, no problem. Well, she looks to him, and she says, okay, this is enough. This is your one warning. You only get one warning. If you keep acting up, we're going to have officers waiting for you in Hong Kong. You might miss your next flight, but we will have officers waiting for you. And he's like, he starts to play dumb. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. And she says, oh yeah, what about, she heard the names, so she was repeating them. What about, this and that and this and that? And he says, that was a conversation between me and him, and nobody was supposed to hear that. And in my mind, I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. You were just announcing that you were going to tell everybody, that you didn't care who hears it. Well, anyway, she says, this is your one warning. If you don't stop it, you're going to have officers waiting for you. And, they leave again. And so obviously he's getting just more and more angry. So I'm doing my best to kind of keep him calm. I put my hand on his shoulder and I'm like, look, just stay calm. They're never going to see you again. You're never going to see them again. It's not worth it. Just stay calm. No worries. So Cheryl and the crew members come back and they have this written document, I guess the official warning. And she gives it to him. And she said, this is your official warning. You need to read this. Well, he starts folding it up and he's going to put it in his pocket. She says, no, sir. You need to read this. And he just totally ignores her. I mean, my gosh. He just folds it up, puts it in his pocket, and just folds his arms. And it's like he was trying to ignore her. But she said flat out, Cheryl, I hope you're watching. You are awesome. Cheryl stood up for her and for her crew. She says, I'm not going to let you talk to me that way. And I'm not going to let you talk to my crew that way. And in my mind, I'm like a cheering section. I'm giving her thumbs up and just cheering and say, yeah. So the crew leaves again, and he's not doing very well. The look on his face, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's probably better if we just go and we sit down. And this is like 10 hours into the flight at this point, but I try to keep him calm. I don't know what this guy's gonna do. If he's gonna blow up, if he's gonna do something physical. I mean, I was ready for it. If he was gonna do something physical, he was gonna get taken down to the ground. Mark my words. But I did my best to keep myself calm and to keep him calm and just say, okay, let's just go back to our seats. It's not worth it. So we went back to our seats, and while I was sitting there, not sleeping, because those chairs, I can't sleep on those airplane seats at all. I was trying to, but I couldn't. As I was sitting there, another crew member, Supriya, which Supriya was super nice too. She comes up to me and she says, there was somebody that saw what was going on, and we asked him to give a testimony of what happened. And she was asking me, she said, will you do the same? I said, yeah, sure. And she says, otherwise, it's our word against his word with what was going on, and all he has to do is deny it. So she said it would really help if there were witnesses and you could just, write your testimony. And I said, well, my eyes are bad, so how about I talk and you write it? She goes, oh yeah, no problem. And she was about ready to, pull out some paper. And I said, okay, but he's just a few rows up, right? And she says, yeah. I said, yeah, I don't want him to hear this. I don't know what he would do if he heard this. So she said, oh yeah, yeah. How about you come to the back? We'll go to the crew area and we'll pull the curtain. That way he can't see, if we're there. So I said, yeah, sounds great. So we go back there, and Cheryl's there. There's some male crew members there. There's another crew member, which I'm so sorry if you're watching. I forgot your name. I remember you're from Malaysia, but I can't remember your name. But at this point, it was Cheryl's turn to go take a break and to rest. And so I said, okay, yeah, no problem. I'm just going to give my testimony to Supriya. She's going to read to write it as I say it. She says, well, thank you so much. You're so nice. Again, you're the best passenger we've ever had. And she said, okay, it's my turn to take a break, but give me another hug. And she gives me another hug, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she is so sweet. So she goes and she takes a break. I give my account of what happened, and it was read back to me, and I said, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. So as I was back there, I finished giving my account of what happened. There was a crew member, a female crew member. I'm not going to say which crew member it was. I'm not going to give her name, just in case she would be embarrassed by this. I don't want to embarrass her, but she told me something. First she told me that it's so nice to see that there are still actual nice guys in the world, and that made me feel good. It did. I'm not going to lie. It made me feel good. I think I am a nice guy, but she also said, she was kind of very sad and very depressed when she was telling me this, but she said, this is the kind of thing that when she goes home from work and she's going to bed, this is the kind of thing that sticks in her head. Negative things like this. And I said, I get it. I understand that. I said, the human mind can remember like everything negative. It's so easy to remember the negative stuff, but the positive things seems to get pushed out, and we forget about that really easily. And she's like, yeah, that's true. And I really can't remember most of what I said. I really felt inspired though, and I said a lot of stuff. I don't remember half of, and plus, I was exhausted. This is like 11 or 12 hours into the flight, so I can't sleep, but I'm tired. But I just told her, I said, you're special. Don't let this one jerk affect you like this. And I said, there was another guy that gave a testimony, and apparently, it was either her or I think it might have been Cheryl who told me that there was another guy that was hanging around at one point when I was sitting down, and he was ready to step in if need be, because he noticed that this guy was being obnoxious, and he wasn't going to let it happen either. And that's awesome to see that there were more people on the flight, which I'm sure most of the people on the flight would have been like that. We would have stood up, right? But I told her, I said, this is what I want you to remember. I said, yes, it's easy to remember the negativity, but he's just one guy being a jerk. And what I want you to remember is you had at least two guys that were willing to stand up for you and willing to protect you from his words. If it got physical, we would have protected the crew that way. We weren't going to let anything happen. And I said, that's what I want you to remember. There was at least me and that other guy. And we had your back. We really did. And, I watched her face. Her face went from frowning and being sad to, she started smiling. She's like, oh my gosh, that's true. She said, you're right. And just her whole demeanor changed. And that really made me feel good. Because, I tried to give a different perspective of it. And it was just great. And we had this big conversation about a lot of things. She had mentioned to me about how important family is and things like that. And I said, That's true. Family is. I said, in fact, I have a video on my YouTube channel called "Family is Everything," and some of the things that she said in there, I actually said in that video, and I'm like, this is freaking cool. And we're talking, and she said she shares another story with me, just real quick. I know this is. I hope this isn't getting too long and boring, but I really, really wanted to share this. Um, this whole story, but this other story I think was a great story, and I want to tell it on behalf of her because it really hits home. But she said that her dad wanted to spend some time with her, and she said, "Okay, there's this one more flight that I want to take care of. I want to work that flight, and after that, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna spend 7 days and spend 7 days with you." And you know, she went on that flight and she was working that flight, and she told me while she was in the air working that flight, her dad passed away. And I can only imagine. Sorry about that. I had to stop it. I'm a tough guy, but I've got feelings, dang it. So I had to stop it. But so yeah, we just had this conversation about how important family was, and it really is. It's so important to let people know that are close to you that you love them, that you care about them, that you appreciate them. And I just said, okay, I said I need to tell you guys that I appreciate you because I'm not in my seat right now. And that to me felt so good because those seats are so uncomfortable. I said, I tried sleeping several times. I can't fall asleep in those seats. And she says, well, there's a couple of business class seats open. If you want to go up there, you can actually lay down and get some rest. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. But I thought for a minute, and then I said, I think I'll stay back here just in case something else happens. I want to be here for that, just in case. She's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I'm sure. That's okay. So, they kept expressing their appreciation. And I made sure that I expressed my appreciation. These guys, they were an amazing crew. The story's not even over yet. And I got to tell you, this crew is amazing. One thing that I can't stand on flights is being thirsty. And I tell you, on this 15-hour plus flight, I was never thirsty. They were on top of things. If they saw me, they were like, would you like a drink? Yeah, some water would be great. These guys, they were seriously working their butts off, every single one of them. And every one of them, you guys, you deserve a raise. You all deserve a raise. You guys were amazing. Um, but okay, so we start our descent. And so, it's obviously time for me to go back to my seat because there's I don't know, less than an hour left. We start our descent towards Hong Kong. So I'm sitting back in my seat, and as I'm sitting there, Cheryl and Supriya, and again, I'm so sorry, I forgot the name from the one from Malaysia. I do remember you're from Malaysia, but those three, they gathered and kind of crowded around my seat. And they said, Mr. Prince, we want to just thank you. We want to thank you for everything that you've done, and we have gifts for you. And I look up and I'm like, gifts? And she says, yeah, we want to just show our gratitude. We've got some gifts for you. And I'm going to show you the gifts, but I got to go get them. Be right back. Okay, so as I'm sitting there, and they come and they give me this bag. Cheryl has this bag and it says, here's a gift for you. And so she decorates the bag. Dear Mr. Prince, thank you. Hearts, and puts Cheryl. I mean, she spent time and effort into this, and man, that I was touched. That's so sweet. Cheryl, you are so sweet. Thank you. And okay, so inside we've got some business class chocolates. I did not open them yet because I wanted to show you guys first. I'll eat them later. And a bunch of these. These are like really special chocolates too. And then she pulls out this. She decorates this too. pulls out the card. And she decorates that too. It's like, oh my gosh. I'm seriously, I'm still very touched. Very touched by this. And one of the things that I asked for was, I said, can I just get a list of the names of the crew members? I said, I want to thank you on YouTube. At this point, they knew that I had a YouTube channel. I said, I'm brand new, you know, I hardly have any subscribers yet. At this point, I was like 2 weeks old. But, I'm having fun doing it, and who knows, I don't know where it's going to go, but I said, I want to thank you guys on YouTube, so can I please just get a list of names? And so there is a list of names, but I wanted to point something out that everybody that wrote something on here, they put their names and said a little note, thank yous and stuff like that. Some of them did it in their own language. I know there's Tagalog on here and Mandarin, and they even got the pilots to sign this, for crying out loud. And I was like, oh my gosh, you really hardly, you never see the pilots. They're like locked up in the cockpit the whole time, but they got the pilots to sign it too, and they treated me like a hero. I felt like a hero, and that made me feel amazing. But at the same time, I was like, that's amazing feeling, but it's also sad, because all I did was the right thing. I treated people with respect, and when I noticed somebody else not giving them respect, I stood up for the people. I wasn't going to let that happen. More people need to stand up and do that. We need more nice guys. So after giving me this, I said thank you, and then Cheryl says, okay, get your bags. And I'm like, get my bags? She says, yeah, we're going to the front. So I get my bag, and so I'm in row 67, and she takes me all the way up to row 1, where as a matter of fact, I've got a clip. I'm going to show you the clip right now. Holy crap! I'm still on the airplane. And they bumped me up to first class to land, because this is like the best crew ever. Did you guys see that? I mean, there was so much room, I literally could have stood up and done jumping jacks. I was like, wow, there's just tons of space here. And then we landed, and as we got off the plane, Cheryl was standing there again, and she says, okay, one more hug. Big hug, she says. And I can still hear her voice. She's big hug, and she did. She gave me a big old hug. And that was that. I mean, that was the flight. And they they seriously treated me like a hero. And in my opinion, all I did was the right thing. I was just a nice guy. I stood up for them. And that just made me realize that, man, the world is starving for people like that. We need more people like that. And I think they would agree. So whoever's watching this video, any guys that are watching this video, or in the future at any time, it's okay to be that guy. The world needs you to be that guy. And it pays off. Originally, I was just going to kind of randomly say thank you in one of my videos to the crew, but then I decided, you know what? I kind of want to tell this story, which I hope you guys appreciate this story, and I just wanted to dedicate this entire video to the crew, which was seriously the best crew I've ever had on a flight. And I've been on hundreds of flights. Literally, I've been on hundreds of flights. And you guys were the best by far. So I'm just going to say the names as they were written. So Chong, Cheryl, thank you. And you are so sweet for all the time and effort that you put into, you know, decorating the bags and stuff like that. And the compliments that you gave me, she complimented my eyes, and I'm so flattered. Um, so Chong Cheryl, thank you. Lam Noel, Dasgupta Sapriya, Ho Austin, Wong Roy, Lee Meng Heng, Morton Jorgensen, Barry Young, Damian Boyland, and Carl Kunze. I hope I did not butcher anybody's name, but you guys, thank you so much for everything. My only regret is that I feel like I made some real friends on that plane, and you know, by the end of the flight, I was so exhausted. I hadn't slept and I don't know how long. My only regret is that I did not ask for anyone's contact information, because, you know, I would seriously, I would love to keep in touch with you guys. You guys were amazing people. Um, so I am going to put my email address up somewhere, maybe here. How about that? eyes2inspire@gmail.com. But please, I would really love to hear from you guys, especially to those who I had the most, you know, interactions with. Cheryl, Sapriya, Austin. Austin, I think I actually even saw you on the channel already, so thanks, buddy. But just, you know, send me an email. Say hi. I would love to hear from you. I would love to keep in touch, honestly. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. I enjoyed telling it. This is honestly something that I am never going to forget. It was such a good experience, and I made some really good friends. The videos from my actual trip are coming up. I'm feeling better now, so I'm going to get to editing those, and I'm going to try to finish them as soon as I can. But until then, again, thanks for watching, and remember, when life gets you down, stand up and overcome.